Hey, what's up? Lucas here on day, closing out day 5. Yeah, day 5. um, Very interesting, busy day at work, of course, and the confinement thing, very interesting. It's something else, man. It's total trip. Never thought I'd be at the age of 48 like in this situation, but so moving forward as usual. I don't know. I think there's a lot of integrity behind getting in trouble and then, facing the consequences and just doing what's asked of you. I'm not always happy about it because it feels like there's no gray area or colored area. It's black and white to a degree with certain situations. Like, for instance, I can't take breaks at work no more because I'm under confinement at work. So I'm expected, I guess, to buy groceries on my 2 hours out of grocery shopping, which makes sense. Try to get enough stuff for the week instead of being able to just go and take a lunch and get a drink, because sometimes I don't always have the money on hand at the time of going shopping, and so that's a budgeting issue with me, I guess. But right now it's just tight funds with all these extra add-ons, having to pay for a drug evaluation, having to get my Toxalock taken off. I mean, that right there's $300, so, and then it's just one of those weeks where I have to really juggle my finances, and it's crazy because I'm paying all of this stuff out, and most of my bills, the rent is not included, and neither is food. My bills are always about as much as my check is, so it's stupid. It's a dumb predicament, but here I be trying to get through it the best I can. It's very weird. I just got done writing in my gratitude book, kind of passages, and I haven't written in it in probably about 2 weeks. I went for like 3 weeks or so without writing in it, and then wrote in it like one day, and then haven't for 2 weeks. But it's very weird. I put on one of my favorite bands from Switzerland, Paleface Swiss. They got a song called Oppressive Times, and it motivated me to write my gratitude book. So it was kind of weird. I was like, the way my brain operates is really, I don't get it. But so crazy. As you get confined in places, you start to think different, look different, and start to change a little bit. More mindful. I know this whole thing that I've been going through, at first I wanted to run, and I did run, and I went to Washington, and that lasted like a week. I was trying to I figured if I was in Washington, the way the laws are, they wouldn't extradite me because it was all misdemeanors, but they would make me go to the PO's office out there to report and all that. And I ended up coming back here after a week, but acted like I was still in Washington while my court dates were, over the phone. And then finally got to a point where I couldn't do that anymore, and I had to be here to face the consequences of everything that happened during the summer and part of the beginning of the year. I just tacked on. It didn't look good. It made me look really bad, but it was, one of those situations where you're like, okay, well, suit up and show up and hope that you don't lose everything in the process, basically. What little stuff I do have as far as items go. I got what I need. That's about it. I am grateful I still have my drums. So when I'm out of confinement, I can still go and play. Music has been... I honestly believe if music never existed, neither would I. Because music is the thing that always takes me out of myself and into a different dimension, into a different part of my brain, per se. And it gets me a little bit focused in sometimes, depending on what I'm listening to, even if it's some of the heavy stuff that I can't really understand, because I do listen to a lot of that. Just the frequencies that I get off of it sometimes put me in a focus mode. It's really cool. I enjoy it. That's probably why I enjoy playing heavier music, because I get focused, kind of get in this part of my brain that likes to be exercised, but the only way it can be exercised is through music or playing music, it seems like. It releases something in my brain that makes me feel really good, so. I think if I could do that as a full-time gig, that would be awesome. But, once again, you have to rely on other people, other band members and stuff, so. That's the thing. That's kind of what I want to hit on tonight was, I learned this phrase in a 12-step program years ago, and it was to suit up and show up no matter what. No matter how you're feeling, no matter what trials you're going through at the time, you suit up and show up. Mainly for yourself, for one. And this, I'm only talking about this because I've experienced this process, and I kind of try to live this process. I'm not very good at it all the time, but ever since I heard that phrase, it made a lot of sense. Another one was do what's in front of you. What's your next step? Well, what's in front of you? Take that step in front of you. And if you get knocked back 2 steps, take a step, try it again. But that's about the only thing that keeps us, or has kept me away from success in my past, is just deciding not to make that step forward. Just one step. You make that step, then you're in it to win it. So suiting up and showing up brings forth a lot of integrity, especially if you tell someone you're gonna do something or be somewhere or all that. It counts for a lot, I've found. For instance, before I got this job, I was working at a Top Stop, a little gas station, and it didn't pay very much, and I was not getting hardly any hours. And my current job now called me up, and they were going to pay me a lot more money than what they were paying me at the gas station. And so I started the job like right away, but I was decent enough to, this is just a small example, decent enough to give 2 weeks notice, and showed up even on the weekend, even though I didn't have to. Even the supervisor was impressed I showed up. And I was like, what do you mean? I told you I'd show up. So I'm going to show up, and do whatever, close this little juncture of my life out, and not be like, hey, screw you, because they did help me. I got work there for a little bit, and it helped. So, return the favor. Don't be a dick, I guess. I don't know. That's what it seems like my feelings are towards it. But, and like with my court stuff, I like to use that as an example too. I don't have any warrants, and I have like 4 different cases, and I pay when I'm supposed to pay. I've had tons of court dates within the last couple months, just like ridiculous, like so stupid. A lot of a PO visit every month, and I've driven the last couple months like 500 miles a week from the place I stayed at and here, and told people I'd be there and I'd show up, and after a long day's work, just to have moments and make some times, because I have to have, family time, I guess you could call it, and not just work, and not just court all day. I have to break away. Luckily, I have a dear friend of mine who plays drums as well, who's actually holding my drums for me, who lets me, he knows when I need to vent and when I need to play, because I went from playing, 5 times a week to down to, twice a month. So it's been really different. I don't know that I like it, probably because I'm not used to it, because drumming is one of my passions. But so I suit up and show up for the judges, even when I know I'm gonna get screwed because I can't afford a lawyer and stuff like that. So but I still show up. When they call me for my UAs, I go do my UAs. I'm trying to appease these people so I can get off, by January 1st. And I know I can do it because back about over 2 decades ago, I was going in and out back when I was on meth, and I was doing a lot of shoplifting and trading for dope, and I had a job the whole time, but it was just like I didn't want to waste my money on meth. It was a waste of money. It was a waste of time. But I was in and out of the system and violating all the time, and finally I went to prison and shit got real, and got out and finally got my own place, went through all the transitioning, and I just made a decision, and I see where I messed up every time I violated. I just kept doing the same shit. And, luckily, the laws on weed have changed dramatically. There's still, in Utah, there's still these certain laws that just don't make sense, really. And it's kind of like a loophole for them to still get you in trouble even though you got a med card. It's one of those loopholes that, because, a natural born stoner likes to smoke joints, especially like an old school OG who's been smoking for years. Joints were the thing. I mean, bongs were too, those were nice, but joints were the more relaxing, creeper style way of smoking, and it's one of those ways that I have always been doing it as well. But when you live in a car, it's not a great idea to have it on you or anything like that. Without a med card, without the label, without it in the trunk, without it have been burnt or with other paraphernalia. I mean, there's just, no, yeah, you can have it, but it needs to be here, and it needs to be this, and it needs to be that. And it's like, holy crap. Loophole after loophole. So today I'm suiting up and showing up, and this is like a long drawn out process of doing this every day and knowing that all my money is going to this guy or that guy because I'm human, and I think if half these people that were in the court running the system actually knew who I was as a person, things would be a lot different. I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't be on probation, I don't believe. Never asking for a handout, sometimes maybe a place to shower or sleep here and there. But it's not necessary. I think people in general, once upon a time, liked to help each other, and now the brainwashing has gone so bad, it's like, people are scared to help because there's been so many people screwed over by others, and it's just, and I get it, because you got families that you're trying to take care of, and to help another person, it gets in the way. And that's my biggest struggle since I've been living this way, living in the car, and I'd get a place here with somebody for a couple months or stay here for a couple months, but it was, it just wasn't a right fit. Like, I felt like I needed my own spot, because that's what I had for the longest time up until about 5-6 years ago. And I decided to do away with it, and so everything happens for a reason, definitely. But suiting up and showing up every day for myself, even though I'm not liking where I'm at as far as the judicial system and what I got to do, even though it could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. Back in the day, I'd still be sitting in jail doing probably a year. Way back in the day, a couple of decades ago. For weed, yeah, definitely. So another thing, I was talking about music earlier. That's another thing I'd like to, because I've played in bands that are already been established, and it's fun and it's great, and some of them have been kind enough to allow me just to play my style, as long as it's within the pocket and it's in a certain, it needs to sound somewhat similar from what the old drummer plays, but there's room to throw in your own style. And that's the biggest thing, is suiting up and showing up when you're, when I'm in a band, it's kind of like a commitment. It's no different than a job, a relationship, or dealing with these guys in the judicial system over my mediocre charges. And that's a big thing too. If you're not in a band with people that are gonna suit up and show up. Like, actually, I tried out for a band a few weeks back, and these guys were no joke, and I really liked it. I mean, but I didn't really know. I knew one of the guys, but none of them really. Everybody's like, who's this cat? Let's see what he has. And there's always that little bit of a pressure cooker. And I hadn't listened to really any of their music before showing up to try out for their band. I just kind of winged it. It's kind of, I don't know. That's a type of drummer I am. I mean, the last band I was in, I actually did practice their songs. I think I spent a month or so on the music I did have available. And when I tried out, it turned out great. I mean, I wasn't on hit the whole time, but I knew the gist of their songs and it was good. This last time, though, I didn't really know their songs, but I went ahead and listened to the riffs and some of the playthroughs and kind of got the gist, but I feel like maybe I wasn't. I don't know. After it was all said and done, the lead guitarist told me it was amazing. That was really cool how you actually put that all together and never really heard us, But I didn't get the gig. It went to somebody else. But, okay, so my point about this was suiting up and showing up. Like, if I tell somebody I'm going to try out for their band, something happens and I let people know, of course, but I usually always try to do the things I say I'm going to do. And the biggest part for me on situations where I need to be somewhere, help somebody, or whatever it may be, I don't promise anything if in reality I can't pull through with it, So that's a big part about, integrity, be realistic about what you are able to do, figure out what you are able to do and keep your word. That's been a huge thing in my life, and it's kept me around people that I need to be around. It's kept me separated from people I don't need to be around, because I can tell and I can feel energies when somebody's doesn't have integrity. It's really it's a thick energy, and it's kind of low too. So it's like a muggy type feeling, I guess you could say, every time I've been around somebody who doesn't uphold their word, or so and know when you can't do something for someone, like you really want to help someone, but there's just something they need that you just cannot do, but you still kind of say, yeah, I'll kind of lead them on a little bit. I mean, I've never really done that. I've watched some people I know do that, and it was kind of really weird and kind of sad at the same time. But it's like I told this guy I would put this, because I installed decals too, or I used to, for about 15 years on semi-trailers, but I didn't really get into cars and stuff that much. But there's a guy at my work who wanted me to put these mountains on the side of his Toyota truck, and I told him I should be able to do that. And then when I got the decal, I realized what kind of decal it was and what they used, and it wasn't, with the curvy door, it wasn't going to work because of the material they had it on to place it. It's more like a flat style of decal. And so I took his old decals off that I'd put on about a month prior, and went ahead and tried to get one side of the mountain on, and once again it just wouldn't work. It stuck right there. I almost demolished the hole. I actually think I did have to trash most of the decal because then it landed in dirt, and so it was just so I threw in the towel, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to place this on your truck. I said, sorry, I already messed this one up. I got your old stuff off though, and if you want to try to get better decal for this project, I can try it again. And of course he probably won't ask me to do it again, but I told him I would try it, so I went ahead and tried it. And I wasn't going to try to continue to work on it because it probably would have just been a huge joke. And so, because I did manage to get his tailgate decal on because it was on a flat surface, and so that looked all right. It wasn't a big deal though. And the guy asked me how much I owed him. I said, well, since I didn't really finish it, keep the money, Hopefully you can find someplace that can put that on for you, but I'm not that guy, So that's kind of the type of person I've been for a while. And, so these are just little examples in my life that I've been noticing when I am, just trying to do the next right thing, for that situation. And a big part of that is put myself in other people's shoes to, be able to evaluate stuff a little bit better where somebody's coming from, So back to the band thing. Yeah, I've been in probably like 6 or 7 bands, I believe. And, the biggest thing about that was just showing up when you said you're going to show up, because, you got people using their time and energy and are away from family to come and put together, this music or try to create something. And, what's the worst is when you got like a key player that you almost have to have him there, or you can't practice and he shows up late or doesn't show. That is the worst, because it's obvious, it doesn't help you write any more music. It doesn't help you play the music. I mean, I've been in a couple bands like that where it's like, this guy's got to be here, or it's just not gonna be the same or sound the same, or and when things don't sound as good, then you tend to not want to play, period. So and there's been a lot of that where something comes up and somebody can't show up, then he ends up showing up the next week, then another guy can't show up, and just like, it's tough. It's a huge relationship in between however many people are in your band, really. And it's about respect and courtesy, to me anyways, when you're in a band, to do your part as that band member, so creating bands and projects, you really got to have the right people to collaborate with and to be able to move forward in the music making process with ideas. And it's so crazy because, like, I've heard jokes about the drummers always being late, but I've never been one to like be late or scam out on a practice or a show, because that's part of my integrity. When I know people are relying on me to be somewhere, that makes it the most important, not to give me a pat on the back saying, oh, I did this for you, but just to be like, hey, this is what I told you I'm going to do. This is what I'll assist you with and be a part of. And that can go a long way as far as like being able to move forward in life when the oppressive times are here. They are here right now. They have been, but it's just more noticeable now, it seems like. So this will be the suit up and show up vlog of mine to add to many more that shall come of different styles of topics. All of them are based on one key factor, and that key factor is going to be up to you to figure that out. So have a good night, everyone. All those who took time to watch, I do appreciate you. Subscribe if you like the video, share the video. If you hear something that somebody else you know might need to hear on any of these videos, just feel free to shoot it to them. And this is what we're here to do. So namaste, because the weirdness in me recognizes and honors the weirdness in you.